Just so you know. Make sure you got the sound. One, two. My test. 1, 2, my check. One, two, my check. Let's see. Quickly. My check. One, two. Let me see what's going on here. The one. 1, 2, mic check. Check the mic. Let's see what's going on here. 1, 2, mic check. Hey guys. Mic check. Check the mic. One, two. If the sound is okay on your side, please give me your thumb up. I try to make sure the sound is good. Tim, go here. People know in the talk. All right, we'll do a quick commercial here, and we will be back to start the show. I try to make sure first the sound is good before we get the show on the way here. So let's see. How can one be part of your program? Yeah, Dave, I think I can. Hold on, let me see something. We'll be back to start the show. I try to make sure first the sound is good before we get the show. All right, I'll be right back, guys.
Sandy on the beat. Dance
Ladies and gentlemen, this is our special edition of Voice of Sinoe in the Diaspora with Darke Saryorpodeh Esoteric. We are coming to you live from Prospect Park, Pennsylvania. So if you are listening to me, if my sound is good, please let me know. It's going to be a beautiful show tonight. Let me, while I'm doing that, I want to check this sound for my end as well, because normally people, it takes longer for people to respond. Because normally people, it takes longer for people to respond. All right, perfect. My sound is good, at least from my end here. All right, so beautiful evening, Pennsylvania. It's nice weather here today. I don't know about you, but the last time I checked, it was like 50 degrees out here, which is relatively speaking is good. So my special guest tonight on the show is sound is great. Okay, excellent. All right. So my special guest on the platform tonight is my good friend, a great linguist, locophile, cultural anthropologist. That's Sir McCarvent Levi Madison is my special guest tonight, and we're going to be talking about how the Sarpo people in Sinoe County and Grand Gedeh. All right. The great man McCarvent wrote an excellent piece. And in that piece, he made his case as to why Sarpo is Krahn. And I have different perspective. And so I invited my friend so that we can have a conversation surrounding the Sarpo tribe in Sinoe County or in Grand Gedeh. And so that's what the show is about tonight. It will be engaging. We started last night's show. We talked about it briefly. Some people participated, but McCarvent brings a unique perspective to the discussion. And so I just want to give the brother the opportunity to address the subject. Now, get this straight, though. This is not a debate. This is just an effort to understand things. At least for me, it's an effort for enlightenment. So I'm not coming tonight to debate McCarvent. I just want to understand things. He's a great researcher, so he knows these things. Okay, so McCarvent will be on shortly, but we'll have a little commercial again, and I will be right back. But do me a huge favor, and that favor is just share so that your friends will be part of the show. That's how we get more participants. So share the link, and your friends will be a part of the show. You don't want to miss it because McCarvent he's one of the guys. He's very intelligent. He's a well-schooled. He knows what he talks about. So that's why I like to talk to him. We came a long way. We came all the way intellectual crossfire. That's a platform where we used to debate issues. And so we built a relationship from that end. So McCarvent has a lot to offer tonight. And so we'll be right back to start the show. McCarvent will be with us shortly. Again, this is my special guest right here. If you're joining me, welcome aboard. Let's get to our music here, and I will be right back.
AK on the...
From Bledu to your tea joker. Adiwa. Power. To the Scaloya. Whatever no better Mama Leo is the toya. When I whatever no better Toto Amores, go to the play. When I whatever no better Chido Jokanga no better Babu Duta no better Chido Jokanji well. Chido Jokanga no better Chido Jiwa. Oh, you know Luju. On ya to be ya kana moso. I can do you. Apoeba ma bachere nule o. Apoeba no bate. Alila joka o mama I say o. Apoeba no bate. Onya kwa we judo joka no aya nyonu we. Bijoga o moya wea. Mera paye pa o. Karisa o moya wea. Moji la ede mo. Dawe paye pa o. Juro joga ka e konji we blow ade o. Ko asuru. Mora go fun we wala we go apaye. Ba do ani sayu. Juro mo ire we. Juro joga mo ire we. Jade do. Yo dey play o. Juro joga mo ire we. Iwa no cry o mama mo jije o. Ala paye pa o.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, again, you are on the Voice of Sinoe in the Diaspora with Darke Saryorpodeh Esoteric, coming to you live from Prospect Park, Pennsylvania, these United States of America. Today is the 3rd of March, 2021. Tonight on the platform, my special guest is McCarvent Levi Madison, one of the intellectuals in the Tri-State region. So McCarvent, again, like I said, if you started the show from the beginning, McCarvent is one of the guys who engages with issues, both politics and non-politics or political issues. So recently he wrote a scholarly piece respect to the status of the Sarpo people in Liberia. And so McCarvent made a case that after considering a lot of things, he came to the conclusion that the Sarpo is Krahn. And so to probe further into that, to make sure it's one thing to write, it's another thing to have a conversation. And so my job here, and all of you as well, is to engage with McCarvent, to ask the hard questions. Voice of Sinoe, I will ask the questions, and I expect you as well to ask your questions. There's a number at the bottom of the screen that you can call when you have questions that you can participate. If you want to come live, just send me the link that other people did already. So just send me the link. I will shoot you the link, or you can call the number. We'll also bring you live to participate in the conversation. I'm still waiting for my guests to join me. So immediately, as soon as the guy gets here, we want to set. We'll get a show running. We'll get a show on the way, but it's like 12 minutes now. I don't know what's up. I was sending you a message again. We talked not too long ago before I got on. Yeah, but hopefully all is well on his side. We'll double check with you. Let me get a little entertainment again, and I will be right back.
I get I'm on delivery, delivery, delivery. I'm on delivery, I'm on delivery, I'm on delivery, I'm on delivery, I'm on delivery. I'm on delivery. I said I can't get it.
I'm a dibble. Yeah, I can sing. You know, join me to sing. All right, guys. I think we got to get the show going here. My guest is now backstage. I'm happy that he made it. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Voice of Sinoe. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for joining us. Again, my special guest is McCarvent, this charming gentleman right here. The man is not only physically charming, he is intellectually charming as well. And so you're not going to be disappointed tonight. All right, so before I bring McCarvent on, I want to just do something quickly here. And you will see the great face of the great man. Yeah, but I just want to do a quick, just two persons here, a shout out, saying that celebrated a birthday. So let me start with my ladies before gentlemen. All right, so I just want to do a quick shout out to Teresa Podin. That's the play daughter of the president of the Delaware Valley chapter, Madam Francisca Myers. Teresa is celebrating her birthday today. So Teresa, we want to say on behalf of the office of the president and all members of the Delaware Valley chapter, by extension, the Voice of Sinoe in the Diaspora, we want to say happy, joyous birthday to you. All right, that's Teresa celebrating your birthday today. The next person here is my own reverend, my own uncle. You know, we came a long way from all the way Ghana. Reverend Nathaniel Gate Sr. is also celebrating his birthday today. So, Reverend Gate, from your boy Zeko, that's how he calls me. You know, in Ghana, he says Zeko. You know, all of us in the yard, we have our nicknames. You know, so Reverend, I'd like to say happy birthday to you. We wish you many more years, and the deity in whom you believe should shower you with blessings. All right, so that is it for birthday shout out. If you're out there celebrating your birthday, I want to say happy birthday to you and the best life has to offer. All right, let's now get to my guests here to get the ball rolling. Let me get to my banner. I'm doing a lot of things here, guys. Give me a second. All right, special guest, McCarvent. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I have the special honor to bring on screen for the first time. That's the first time coming to Voice of Sinoe. All right, so I'm honored to bring my friend, my brother, my kinsman, and my fellow countryman, compatriot, and you can go ahead with all the other words, you know, to bring the brother on screen. His name is McCarvent Levi Madison. He has had a tremendous impact on me intellectually. You know, let me give you a little background. And I migrated from Minnesota here to Pennsylvania. We started to engage on Facebook. And also through our engagement, I mean, I learned a lot. The man is a wordsmith. You know, he has word as a fingertip. And besides that, he has a depth of knowledge. He understands a lot of things. Very smart man. He attended Temple University. He went out as far as master's level. I think he got a master's degree from St. Joseph University. So when he gets here, we'll give McCarvent the opportunity to at least give a little bit, you know, introductory comments, at least to introduce himself officially. Yeah, without further ado, I'd like to bring my friend on camera right now. Hey, McCarvent.
What's
You are,
up, comrade?
you are live on the Voice of Sinoe. I'm happy to have you. How are you?
I'm pretty good. Thank you for the invitation. It's always great to engage, as always.
All right, all right. So, otherwise, how's the COVID season? How is it treating you and your family?
For some reason, the cold seems to strike rather painfully as I just returned from Liberia. It seems like my body has pretty much acclimated herself to the climate in Liberia, and because of that, I tend to feel the cold more than I used to in time past. But I'm happy to be here. Today we have a fairly nice weather in Delaware as well. But it's always great to be, back in the States. It's good to be back with the family. And I'm grateful to God for the time to be here, with you this afternoon.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So, but how was your? I met you in Liberia. How was Liberia? What would you say?
Well, Liberia is great. Liberia is on the path of post-war reconstruction. It requires the collective efforts of all Liberians at home and in the diaspora. And my presence in Liberia for the time we met was sort of an eye-opener. An opener to the fact that, I was able to visualize for the first time the extent to which ordinary Liberians are enthusiastic about the future of their country, so that they are willing to, to make investments, in their own lives as well as, the country itself. In times past, we are worried about rights, but the people of today are worried more about development than anything else. So I think that was a great news, and I hope that we, can more than often rally our efforts to make Liberia what we want it to be. But it was a great stay.
Okay, but when I ask you, you said Liberia is great. I think that's a strong word. Great. In what context?
Liberia is great in terms of the mindset of the people, the development initiative on the ground, and their willingness to dispose of their previous mindset that was in tune with war and despair. The Liberians' resilience is what I look at to say Liberia is great. And to conclude, I like to borrow from Mamadi Diakite, who often began his broadcast by saying, Liberia is getting better. The motherland will never fall. Despite the push and pull, Liberia is on the right trajectory. And with all of us, our collective efforts and our resources and our investment, Liberia is bound to come on par with our neighbors in the sub-region.
All right, so but somebody listening right now and say, who is McCarvent? So I just want you to give the opportunity to at least introduce McCarvent to the people.
Well, thank you very much. To answer that person, I want to say that they should not mind all of the high-fluency words that you mentioned, all of the, the elaborate, descriptions, scholar, researcher, and the likes. No, McCarvent is none of that. I am a student. I'm still studying. I'm motivated by the pursuit of knowledge, and that is the guiding principle and the driving force behind who I am. But I'm not any of those. I'm not a linguist, although I tend to love words. But for the purpose of today's discussion, I will be as simple as I can be so that we can get to the basis of what we intend to discuss tonight.
Okay, so is it correct to say if you're not a linguist, can I say you're a locophile? You're a lover of words.
Yeah, I'm not moved by those descriptions or those referential configurations such that because of the description I advance as myself as a scholar that I have to be scholarly at all times. I love words, but I think more than anything I want to be known as a student and not as a logophile or a scholar or any of the above.
Okay, fair enough.
I think that would be a much more befitting terminology for who I am, and what I intend to do today on this show.
What's the word again? I missed it.
A student.
Oh, a student. Okay, so you're a pupil of who?
Well, I come from various schools of thought, and throughout the span of my scholarship, I sat on the tutelage of several scholars and several academics and intellectuals. But the persons whose intellectual trappings pretty much characterize my life is the one that and that does not fit within the definition of the academy, but yet still he's a scholar. So I mean, I sit on the tutelage of Gemunde. Gemunde is a Krahn intellectual, an academician, a researcher, a politician, a lawyer, and a doctor who often provided similar role as played by Socrates. He served as a gadfly for his people. He pretty much played a role to awaken them from their slumber and challenge them to find them better self.
Excellent, excellent. Okay, so you are here. You are the intellectual gadfly for us tonight. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, that's my special guest tonight, Levi McCarvent. I also call him the heir to the British throne of encyclopedia knowledge. I don't know whether he's in retirement right now. I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but McCarvent, our topic tonight, as we agreed, is the issue of the Sarpo tribe. You wrote an excellent piece, which was published on We Are Tuzon, and we had a deliberation or discussion on that. I think two of us, we are on two philosophical islands when it comes to that. So I talked about it yesterday, and you said, "Oh, Comrade, why didn't you invite me so we can have to talk about it?" And so that's why we made the arrangement, and you are here tonight. So let's begin with that. Give introductory comments as to who are the Sapos in the first place.
Well, thank you very much for the invitation. As I stated earlier, it is a great pleasure to be on this pristine platform, a platform that is unique in the Sarpo enclave in view of its characteristics. The pursuit of knowledge is evident every day, and one of the traits that makes the moderator of this show different from all of the many Facebook talk show hosts is the fact that you bring to bear a critical intellect that is geared towards exploration, entertainment, education, and or challenging existing views of life or theories or concepts of our being here. So I tend to view this platform rather highly, and therefore I intend to comport myself in a way that will foster that tradition, of the VOSD. But quite frankly, this thesis arose out of a thought that has for some time occupied the landscapes of my mind in view of the widespread discussions that often happens behind closed doors. Very, very rarely do we see people, especially people who have the requisite intellect, the requisite historical basis and background to able to discuss this matter. So I was on my way to Minnesota, and I had a little 2 hours during my flight itinerary, and I had the time to pour over this thought. And it emanates from the fact that there has been a lack of historical exactitude as it relates to suitably situating the Krahn and Sapos dilemma, or the dichotomy that may exist between the two tribes. Based on my research and my readings of history, both anthropological history and history of the tribes, their linguistic, preoccupations, their ethnomusicology, and all historians to pretty much ground the analysis, I was able to arrive at the conclusion, rather, painfully, are one and the same. That is, the Sapos are not a unique ethnic formation. Why do I say that?
Yeah, McCarvent, for some reason you are breaking up.
Oh, I'm sorry. So
yeah,
now?
Yeah, it's still cracking up.
Still cracking up.
At least from my end.
So you want me to go out and come back?
No, I think it's clear now. Go ahead. I want you to reiterate what you just said, please.
Yeah. So what I said was that my research into the Krahn and Sapos dichotomy, the confusion that have existed for decades, the lack of clear referential intelligence on this matter, grounded by historical and archaeological research, have led me to the conclusion that the Krahns and the Sapos are one and the same. that the Sarpos are not a unique ethnic formation outside of the Krahn lineage or the Krahn heritage. Why do I say that? My research pretty much took me to the origin of the Sarpo and the Krahn's migration to Liberia. Historically speaking, the Krahns, the Sapos, and the entire Kwa group migrated to present-day Liberia as a result of the dissolution of the Songhai Empire. The Songhai Empire pretty much became a victim of Islamic conquest because of their economic viability. So around the era, the 1600s, when that happened, the Sapos, the Krahn, the entire Kwa ethnic group migrated, to along the coast of the hinterlands of Africa to where now is present-day Liberia. Along the migration trend, they made some stops. It was not a fluid migration so that they just moved without stopping. They moved and stopped along present-day Nigeria, along down to present-day Cameroon, up to Ghana, and Africa coast, and to now where we now know as Liberia. When they entered Liberia, they entered as one formation. There was not any claim for uniqueness as far as they were coming, such that they refer to themselves as Abliyu, which means a person who came from the land of their origin. That's what the migration as far as history is concerned. If you carefully peruse the western, the entire West Africa region, you will see that people who speak what is spoken in Liberia as the Krahn, Sarpo, or the Kwa group are also spoken in Africa Coast, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, and as you go above, you'll find remnants of the Kwa speakers along those lines. That's the migration trend as far as the origin is concerned. If we go to the genealogy, which has to do with the DNA, you will see that a person who identifies as a Sarpo and a man who identifies as a Krahn or a woman thereof bear drastic or directly similarity as far as their phenotype is concerned, their physical expression. A Krahn man and a Sarpo man, because they have the same DNA, they are made of the same biological configurations. They have phenotypical expressions. They have the same height, the same hair texture, the same complexion, the same facial representation, and the light, and it goes on. Thirdly, their traditions of the Sapos and the Krahn can be said to be mirrored, so that there is 100% uniformity or duplicity as far as they are concerned. The way the Sarpo mourn their dead is similar to the way the Krahn mourn their dead. The way that they dance and sing, even during various ceremonies as birth, and other ceremonies as far as other achievements in life, is directly similar to that of the Krahn. Even their traditional marks, the devils, are all aligned along the same traditional and cultural practice as far as how they execute those various activities or cultural practices. Thirdly, their diet. They have the same exact dietary intake, but with little minute differences as far as maybe personal lives will go on. Some person might not like meat, others eat meat, but the meat they eat, the way that they prepare their meat, the food they eat, the food they done by the pan butter, the pepper soup, these are innate Krahn Sarpo delicacies, and that is informed by the DNA and as far as everything is concerned, that this back to their culture, their origin, and the places that they lived. Because where they lived, they were only susceptible to finding certain kind of food that became their delicacies. So that's how, unlike the Pele man or the male speakers who have a different kind of diet set, the Kwas, the Sapos, the Krahns, the Grebo, they have the same diet. But much more than the diet, the Sapos are linked to the Krahn more than any of the Kwa speakers, because biologically speaking, as far as DNA is concerned, there is more historical intermarriages between Sapos and Krahns compared to the Krahns and other Kwa speakers. So there is much more blood ties There is much more linkage between DNA evidence that links the Sapos to the crime, much more than the Sapos to the crew. Even though there are some extent of blood ties that links them, but they are more closely linked to the crimes than any other members of the choir speakers. Fourth, until quite recently, and I would like to also include until recently, which was the 1980s, the claim for Sarpo's uniqueness or Sarpo distinguishability from the crowns has only been reduced to a backdoor discussion. But until the sad event happened where a member of the Sarpo tribe was slain by a member of the Crown tribe in outright violation of agreements or norms that have been the core for the interactions in that is the notion of the Dodi. I'm sure you know what it means, what the word means. The word Dodi means, or Dedi means, same maternal lineage. And because they came from that same maternal lineage, they were precluded activities, namely seeing the spelling of each of a fellow Dodi's blood. Marriages between a person who was deemed a Dodi was prohibited because by reason of childbirth, the female was pure blood. So that was prohibited. So when the event happened in 1980, 81 or 82, thereabout, where the Honorable Thomas was saying was assassinated by then Sir McCarvent, that struck deeper the desire by the Sapos to argue much more forcefully for tribal recognition by the Liberian state. Until then, based on the works of A. Doris Beng Henrys and Liberia's notable historian, Joseph Seguanu, and other historians who studied the etymology of Liberian tribes, the diversity, the distinctions, and the similarities of Liberian tribe, they concluded, based on objective evidence, that the Sarpos should not be recognized as a tribe, even though the arguments have some lapses, because unlike other tribes that were recognized nationally, like the Mandingos, who do not have an ancestral land of their own, the Sarpos have claim to an ancestral land in Sinoe. But yet still, the constitution then and the historians then agreed that the Sarpos should be recognized as a subset of the Grand Gedeh group because of their close proximity biologically and their DNA evidence that link them to the Krahns, unlike other members of the choir speakers. So against those backdrop and others to be studied as the discussion goes on, I have been resolved to argue based on the quantum of evidence that I just adduced, based on my research and that of other historians, to include J.B. Dankwa of Ghana. In his piece, The People of Africa, he argued that the Sapos, the Krahns, are one and the same. For reference, page 284 in the book, The People of Africa, J.B. Dankwa argued specifically that the Sapos and the Krahns are one and the same. And even from our own lifestyle, our own language, linguistically, when you speak Krahn to a person who identifies as Sapo, there's clear-cut translation or transmission of the message without hindrance because they have the same root words. So
okay, McCarvent, let me interrupt you there a little bit. There's a lot to chew on right now. You give a lot of stuff, and that's why I like to talk to you. You don't just talk about stuff, but let's look at things that you use to draw your conclusion. Yeah. You spoke of you went in the era of linguistics. You say linguistically they are related, and that's one of the things you use. But if you listen, for example, if a Sarpo man speaks, and say, for example, somebody from Kunebo or somebody from the Glio Belt speaks, that's a radical linguistical distinction, though. They hardly understand each other.
I beg to oppose. I think the reason that accounts for the difference you cited It's merely accentuation based on preferential mood and draggings of tongue. But if you go to the root of the words that are uttered, they have the same root words, even though they may twist some as they may add a little G or a little L or a little M behind or in front of, because they have the same root word. It's like somebody saying comment, like you leave from here and go down south. The man, even though he pronounces the same word as come, but because of the way he style, the rhythm, the movement of the word, the father may ask him all. It may seem as if it's different, but it's just in the same come.
All right, but McCarvent, if you said the Grebels, the Crews, and all of that, they are part of the choir group, right? And talking about speaking linguistically, I mean, they say a lot of words in common. So are you saying for the fact that a Grebel man will say certain thing as a Sarpo or Krahn man, will you say a Grebel man is a Krahn man? They say they have certain root words in common.
I will definitely say that a Grebel man and a Bachelor man, being members of the choir ethnic speaking group, have some extent of biological relationship that is linked, to their origin. Perhaps when they were in Songe, the Grebels, the Bachelors, the Krahn were perhaps members of one family. Perhaps one man who had 3 wives, or 3 brothers who had several wives. And because
McCarvey, you are not definitive. You are conjecturing. You are saying perhaps.
No, because that's what the research shows, that they are linked historically, and because they are linked historically by language, by custom, by culture, and both lineage, DNA, that they are equally related, but the extent of their relationship to the Sapos is minute. That's my argument. Though they are related, there is some distance relationship between the Grebels, the Basa, versus the Krahn and the Sapos.
Yeah, but McCarvey, giving you a choice of what, I think you are making a probabilistic argument here, and probabilistic argument is not reliable, and that's my theory about research.
No, I mean every degree of mathematical calculation will first be based on probability, and then based on the findings, they will have to gain strength or get weakened. What I'm saying is that clear cut, there is a degree of biological relationship between all the members of the choirs. But to what extent are they related is what the research have uncovered. That research, they are more linked to the Sapos than that of the Bastos and the other choir speakers. Okay.
All right, so I think to leave the linguistical argument, given that the other tribes in the choir group, they say certain words, they have the same root words. I think the linguistical argument is not too solid for all to rely on. Now let's segue to you also talk about archaeological evidence. I mean, what is the archaeological evidence here? You reference archaeology, but you did not adduce the evidence to substantiate the veracity of what you were saying.
So the Sapos and the Krahns and all of the choir speakers upon their entry into Liberia reveals that from the uses of their tools, the way they use their tools, the way they made their farm, the choices of delicacy were objectively linked to the same. They were able to conclude, rather based on the quality of the evidence that were uncovered from the, they are one and the same, even up to their present habitat. Is a striking similarity and or uniqueness between the way they build their houses compared to other members of the evidence on covering, because of the
your sound is kind of coming back, kind of to breaking up. I don't know.
So as I was saying, the area that was conducted by others in our thesis that that he wrote Liberian history up to 1847, he revealed that the way the Krahns lived, the way they built their houses, their choices of food, their style of weapon and warfare were the same, unlike other members of the Kwa speakers. Therefore, thereby concluding again that the Sapos are members of the Kwa ethnic group. But then again, he also uncovered from history that the reason that accounted for the migrations of the Sarpos to their Sapos because of internal conflict that were now manifesting, perhaps due to the quest for dominance in the era. The Krahns became degrees of conflict with their brethren. So because they were conversing with that notion, Sapos now migrated further down past the Putu mountain that is still contested with Putu or Gedeh mountain to find their way to Sinoe. And even that's not their migration to Sinoe, they maintain close connection with their kinsmen back in Grand Gedeh. So historically speaking, the Sapos, it's not a matter of nomenclature. But as far as linguistical, biological, and other evidence is concerned, these are just one. And the argument for national recognition is a separate argument. That's not my argument. My argument is they are the same. Even though I will argue also for them to be recognized as a true elements that borders the argument for them to have for them to have such recognition. They have their own land, its own contested, recognized as a tribe because of the extent to which the Sarpo is widely spoken in Liberia. Almost 1.3% of the Liberian population speaks Sarpo, based on the CIA findings. So because of that quantum of evidence, I'm inclined to ask for that. Get the fact that there exists between the Sapos and the Krahn biological ties of this disputation.
All right, McCarvent. I mean, for some reason, I'm having an issue. I don't know, the viewers, they're having similar issue. I mean, there's a glitch in your sound. Yeah.
Whether they can hear me, that we can do what.
Yeah. Are you guys hearing McCarvent? Do you have? I mean, I'm just making sure here. Please let me know if the sound is okay from your end. A thumb up will be good to say, okay, the sound is good.
Okay.
Yeah, they are not responding. I don't know. Yeah, but all right.
Well,
so
perhaps silent means consent. So yeah, I think based on.
Okay, they said the hearing. A couple of people saying the hearing. Okay, so I think that's a good. But maybe it's from my end where I'm having the glitch. Yeah. Okay, McCarvent, you gave a lot in your introductory remarks. You gave a lot of stuff that which I think I want to touch on a little bit. But I seen the audience, they coming with some comments here, and so let us engage with the comments. They see some of the things they are saying. Let's see. Somebody, Celia has something here. I think you say archaeologists and anthropologists only made assumptions and not conclusive findings on this subject based on the proximity of these languages. What do you have to say?
Well, when archaeologists study, they do not study proximity of language. They study objective evidence such as fossil remains, DNA, and linguistics. So that person, the speaker is slightly mistaken what archaeologists study. They don't study the study remains, the tools, the comb, the board, like those things that they left back after while they are even alive. So the archaeologists did not study the language, and the full-blown conclusion based on the assessment of those evidence, that's more connectivity biologically linked linking the Sarpos and the Krahn. It was not only based on their findings from the set.
In that, you also got anthropologists. I think anthropologists, they also look at the languages, I think.
No, anthropologists are people who study the biological remains. Anthropologists, like skeletons, the shape, the morphology of the structure.
Okay.
If you talk about for people who study the language, they have to be the ethnomusicologists or linguists.
The linguists, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, let's see what Daniel has to say. It says, due to war in Liberia, the bush gravel and that of seaside gravel or crew cross over into the Ivory Coast. Does it make them one tribe? Let me address that first question.
So certainly, the bush gravel and the sea gravel are the decision only came to play because of their locale where they were living. So it became an additional description based on where they lived versus the others. One on the bush on the sea coast. But the reason why that decision became necessary was because it was used as a means one persons in the society, so that the ones who live in the hinterland were deemed illiterate, but the ones who live on the seaside were deemed civilized because of their association with the Westerners as they came to trade. But they were all Grippers.
Okay, so I think the second part of the question is, when did the Sappo people begin to recognize themselves? Was it during the 80s or before?
So much earlier than the 80s, there has always been narratives that were weaved around the Sappo uniqueness, but it gained currency and became much more palpable after the death of Thomas Wessing. The death of Thomas Wessing was a singular event that hallowed the call for Sappo recognition as a tribe outside of the Krahns in Liberia. Until then, there's nothing we can point to as historians or academicians that are objective in nature that we can base upon to say, oh yes, at this point in time, the Sapos contested. The only contestation that was made by Sappo intellectuals happened around that time. And they were led by the leaders of Deacon Kala, the late Oscar Jaikuya, and those were the men who stood of the Sapos claim for national recognition. But that political ties with the Krahns. To make that assertion that the Sapos divorced them from their heritage, their lineage, and the struggles, as well as the customary that today made them the envy of the Kwa language. The Sapos are a unique tribe amongst the Kwa speakers. Why are they unique? They possess superior intellectual abilities. They have a profound likeness by the gods. I'm sure you heard about a young boy who came from Sappo land, who came to the States around the prehistoric era, because he had a gift of foretelling events. Today, I think his name was Simon Morris. The university somewhere is trying to construct in his honor a university in Sinoe to commemorate him for his effort in helping them to foretell the future and thereby setting them up for progress. So the Sarpos are not, they live between two tribes, the Crews and the Krahns. So their ability in that land is a testament to
I don't know, it's just me, but again, for some reason I don't like the quality of your sound. It keeps breaking up.
Let me come back again. So I said,
please. I mean, wait till you log on and come back on, please. Let's try the option and see. All right, guys, just give us a second here. It's a very interesting discussion. I told you, McCarvent is a smart guy. He doesn't make it lazy. He brings success to the discussion, as the late Mama would say. All right. So keep your comments coming in. The number is also at the bottom of the screen. You can also call 267-648-8149. What is it? Really? So let me type it up. Put it somewhere here, just in case somebody wants to call. McCarvent will be back in a little bit. Let me see what I can put down. Let me see. Oh, so I'm breaking up. Yeah. Oh man, let's see. One, two. Let's see here. 1, 2. Yeah, McCarvent coming and say I'm breaking up here. Let me see. One, two. Let's see. All right, seems to sound good now. Let me bring McCarvent back here. All right, McCarvent, welcome back.
Thank you very much again. So as I was saying, the claim
Yeah, go ahead.
Sarpo self-identification as a tribe outside of the Krahn ethnic group began was re-emphasized and reinforced by the death of Thomas Wasson. Such claim.
Okay, hold on. Let me put the sound. The person I'm breaking up too. I'm breaking up. Hello. Let me see.
Self-identification as a tribe. You ready? Outside of ethnic group.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
I'm clear. Very clear.
Yeah, you are. I just somebody saying I'm breaking up, so I was just trying to test it from my end here to see.
All right. Yeah, so as I was saying,
the person I'm breaking up too. I'm breaking up. Hello. Okay, it sounds good to me. All right. So McCarvent, sorry for the little technical problems we're having here. It kind of messing up with the conversation. All right, let me get to some of the comments that the guys have here for you, and I got a lot of questions for you. So I think it was Fizo. I mean, literally disagree with you. Is it where there is a minor, there is also where there is a major, there is also a minor. Liberia has 16 major tribes. Sapos is a minor tribe. Sapos is not Krahn. What do you say?
I think he's sadly mistaken, because the claim that linked the Sapos to the Krahn is not just reduced by governmental recognition or legalistic requirements. No, they are linked to the Krahn by reason of tangible, undisputable DNA evidence that cannot be disputed, even from a cultural view of a Sapo and a Krahn. So that is not the case. The reason why the Sapos are not recognized as a tribe, even though in Liberia they should, based on their possession of an ancestral homeland, is political, and not based on anything of that. Because if the Mandingos, for example, who do not have an ancestral homeland in Liberia, the Dans, the minors, as minute as they are in number, are recognized. What is more about the Sapos, who have 6 linguistical sections? We have the Kabade, we have the Putus, we have the Weja, we have the Single. We have 6 sections from Sinoe, that are made out of Sapo people. So the argument for recognition makes sense, but that does not negate the fact that they are trans. That's what the research has uncovered.
All right, so Boko is saying the Sarpo was characterized to be on the Kru tribe, and not Krahn, as it relates to the history of Liberia. So he theoretically disagree with you.
That is incorrect. The writings of A. Doris Ben Henrys, Joseph C. Guanum, as well as Professor J.B. Dankwa, They are all clear testimonies based on research that the Sapos were considered a subset of the Krahn ethnic group and not the Crews, even though they have relationships with the Crews by reason of intermarriages and or other blood ties, but they were not considered under the Crews as far as the Liberian laws or history is concerned.
Yeah, but McCarvent, in your piece, though, you also made that connection. The Sarpo has a link with the crew and with the Krahn. And then from there, you drew the conclusion that the Sarpo is Krahn. So I was wondering why you negated the crew.
So what I said in that piece is that the Sarpos are not a unique ethnic formation. Their DNA pool, their gene pools, is made out of the amalgamation of the Krahns and both the Crews. But to what extent did the Crews contribute? Minutely, infinitesimal, if you will add, compared to the Krahns. So based on the observation of the anthropological evidence, based on DNA review and DNA evidence, they are much more linked by reason of biology to the Krahns than that of the Crews, even though they have crew gene pools within the Sarpo gene. Am I understood?
Yes. Yeah, but
so they are not entirely Krahn. I'm sorry, they are not entirely crew, nor are they entirely Krahn, but they are the amalgamation of both the Crews and the Krahn. But to what extent did the Crews contribute? Minutely. The Krahns significantly. That's why they were linked as being a subset of the Krahn ethnic group.
So, but how do you come up with a percentage, though?
Because of DNA evidence. Even you right now, when you go through it, when you do your DNA, they will tell you to what extent that each parent contribute towards your gene pool. And in your DNA, in your entire lineage, whether you have Irish, German, the very different diversity of genes that contribute towards you, they will tell you that you're 85% African or Irish or Japanese, or like based on what the gene says.
So, I'm serious question in the issue of the DNA. He said which scientist conducted the analysis. He wants to know.
And that's what was conducted by Joseph C. Guano, Darke Saryorpodeh, and other researchers who studied the tribe. They took gene pools from every Liberian, the male, the Quad, the Sapos, the Crews, all and based on their result, they were able to make those conclusions. And those conclusions enjoy broad-based consensus amongst historians. Genetics are also who have studied this phenomenon and continue to study that.
So, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Yeah.
So, Doris Banks, Dr. Guano, are they geneticists?
No,
I mean, how do they?
Authorities on Liberia's history, and their approach to history was interdisciplinary. The DNA, the so-called evidence, but they took along with them archaeologists and other disciplines to study the DNA. They did not do the DNA assessment themselves, but they had members that were able to conduct those extra DNA evidence and analyze the evidence, and based on the results, they were, I understand in one of your pieces, you already dismissed the legitimacy of for presiding over our history, but until you and I can muster the courage to undergo that will give us broader understanding into who we are, we cannot already dismiss them just merely on opinions. We have to go and conduct that.
All right, yeah, I'm having problem with the sound again. Yeah, but I think I haven't looked at the literature from Dr. Guano and Doris Banks, but I think McCarvent, we have to know the background from which those guys are coming from. You know, I mean, a lot of times people wrote, I mean, our history, you know, and those are writing, they got a lot of issues with it. And so that's my thing. So now, as we are getting to the point of enlightenment, we have to revisit those documents to test their validity. Because a lot of them, those guys, every author has a motive. So we don't know exactly why they wrote things that as they did. And you pointed out the Sarpo scholars, the late Jai Kuya, you're talking about Deacon Carlo, you're talking about Wally. Why Joe Wally and those guys who disagree with those authors that you cited?
So like I said in my conclusion, that's our views about my conclusions. But those contrary views must not come on the team wheels of emotion or just a need for mere independence. They must be grounded in research done by professional academicians and historians. And must have the courage to undergo the pain of assessing rigorously our DNA evidence, our etymology, etymology as a people. We cannot dislodge their claims. Even
so, McCarvent, let me ask the question. If we say Sapos is Krahn, does that follow that Krahn is Sapos?
They are one and the same. But the umbrella term is what is the issue here. So linguistically, the Krahn is a tradition. The tradition is that they put a stick before their house. It is that stick that is that. So it's not the name of the tribe, but it's the product of a culture that they both practice. Even the Sapos still do it to this day. So that's where the name came from. But this segment of people that fall within the choir ethnic group are the Krahns. But the Sapos are also Krahns, and the Krahns have Sapos as Sapos as well. It's a matter of nomenclature.
Okay, all right. Other argument you made was you talking about phenotypes. You saying something?
Yeah, I said more like you are a freeman, and I'm also a freeman. But it's not a name that makes us what we are made out of. Our DNA, our mindset, our makeup, who we are is what makes us. So the name is not really the issue here, but what I'm concerned about and what the research reveals is that everything that makes up the human animal, the Krahn and Sapos man are one and the same.
Okay, yeah, okay. Let's deal with the issue of you're talking about physical appearance, and that's one of the points you made to draw your conclusion.
Yeah.
So it sounds to me you are saying if things look the same. So let me give you a syllogistic argument, for example.
Yeah.
I can say, for example, all things with hair are dog. Cow has hair, therefore cow is a dog. I think that's the kind of argument you're making, though.
I'm not deducing here based on inferences. No, that because everything that has a head is a dog. Is a battle. What I'm saying here is based on objective evidence. The DNA.
Yeah.
The DNA
for some reason, your sound is delaying. McCarvey, you say objective. It should be subjective evidence because we will not all agree on our evidence. So it's subjective.
I say objective because that's why I say objective evidence. So when I say that anything with a head because it has a head is a dog, that's the other reasoning. What I'm saying here is reasoning based on an actual assessment of the Krahn man and Sapos man. The evidence that was revealed by reason of the assessment of the DNA was pretty much conclusive after the observation that they are one. They enjoy the same gene pool. Names matter, yeah, it do, but besides the name, the attributes, it's much more evidential than just a name. The name can be changed, but the distance cannot be changed, and that is why still owns both the Krahn and Sapos men today. They have the same DNA. In the DNA, there are two basic components. The genotype is those things that are internal. The phenotype is made of things that are external, so that the complexion, the hair, the face, the texture, those are things that are DNA. DNA similarity or DNA uniqueness. So if a man who is put in a room and his name is Samuel, and I'm also a black man from Liberia and my name is Samuel, that doesn't mean we are the same, because we have different logical evidences, different culture that make us different. We have different culture, different traditions make us biologically. So the name alone does not make us the same. But what makes us the same is what is within us and what comes from. That's what makes us unique or different.
Okay. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, my special guest is Levi McCarvent. Special guest tonight. He is opining on the issue of the Sarpo. He says Sarpo people they have been. For a lot of arguments. Other people say Sarpo is crew, or they call it bush crew. Other people say Sarpo is Krahn, and other people say Sarpo is not Krahn. So there are three arguments here going on, and McCarvent is saying, giving his reasoning and his evidences that he has adduced, he has concluded that Sarpo is Krahn. Now, so if you want to participate, McCarvent, in a second, if you to ask McCarvent any question that you have, not disrespectful question, of course, but you can just call that number. You are free. I've seen people asking, can we call now? Yes, you can call, and that's why I put the number out there. Yeah, McCarvent, go ahead.
Take your first call. During the testimony of Joe Wiley at the just ended TRC conference, he made a solemn effort to refute the claim that the Sapos were bush crew when he was asked by then Commissioner Pearl Brambu. He told her quite eloquently that the Sapos are not bush crews. The Sapos are a subset of the Krahn ethnic group by reason of their DNA, by reason of their mindset, their training, their orientation, and their cultural preoccupation and precepts and bylaws. So that is, I hope that answers the whole notion of bush crew versus Sapos. The Sapos are the Sapos, but they are Krahns by reason of DNA.
Okay, all right. So let's see what I can carry that backwards. Sorry, it's blacking out right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dano is saying. Okay, hold on. Let me see the call coming in here. Hello, you're on the Voice of Sinoe. Who's this?
Good evening, Darke Saryorpodeh. This is Sullivan Sawinene, alias Papedino Boko Sawi.
Oh, CDC, welcome aboard.
Yes, I'm good. How you doing, McCarvent Levi Madison, man? CDC added as well.
How you doing, comrade?
Yeah, go ahead. He's hearing you for some reason. I'm using the headphones, so he's hearing you. But just shoot your question, and you'll hear you.
Hey, no. I listened to McCarvent profiling from the research he made, and most of the research are based, according to him, based on DNA analysis about the Sarpo and culture, how they came into being. And he tried to navigate how they came into the country called Liberia. She was on a whole footing from the 1400s, from the empire region time to now the current day Liberia. But from historical analysis, according to Liberian history, like you talk about for Joseph Guano and other people and other textbooks that we are read, when it comes to the Sarpo and the culture, Sarpo is considered as a subset of the culture, not Krahn. And I tried seeing people say, oh, Sarpo, you said Sarpo occupy most of the land, why they get big contract? What happened was because See, the only time you hear Sarpo came out and people speaking about that, trying to further that Sarpo they have a trap, is because the issue that happened in 1980 that happened in West End. But when it comes to the Sarpo, being an ethnic background, it is the speak the portion of the Sinoe County, but they are considered in history for Liberia a success of the crew trap, not crime. So McCarvey, you have that DNA that you're talking about, that DNA, you have not come out to tell the specific or percentage, what DNA percentage that is linked to the crime, or what DNA percentage that is linked to the crew. All we know from the historical analysis of our people that wrote, and I was talking about it, they reference to, they talk about Sapos of creature. You know, sometimes I don't like to dive into the issue that has to do with Sarpo being a source of the crew trap. You know why? Because I'm from Sinoe. I'm a crew man from Sinoe County. When that topic come up, many people take that to be personal, especially people from the Sarpo ethnic background. They take that to be personal, that you're not trying to recognize Sarpo as a tribe, but you try to put them on a crew. But we just trying to take that self out. And that is why I always don't want to dive into that discussion. I can remember sometime last year and sometime 2 years ago, the Sarpo people had a program in Minnesota. And then they were discussing about the Sarpo people have and trying to have their own county and the kind of stuff. And I don't know whether it's Sarpo is on this is watching this video. You can bear me witness. And when I try to educate some of our young folks, we are all equal. They felt offended when I said, "Oh, according to the history of Liberia, we all know that Sarpo and the situation that when them recognize a trap trying to explain to them, they felt offended." And I was like, Bugu man in that gallery. I decided to forget it. And he's like, "Oh, you know, my son, you know what he said."
But let me ask a quick question here. Is there a reason why? I mean, are we that important for the Krahn and the crew to be fighting over us? What is it that we have that you guys want us for?
What do you mean? The way you did that you got to have and what you got?
Yes, I mean, what is it that the Sarpo people have that the Krahn is making claim to the Sarpo, then the crew is also making claim?
Okay, historical analysis. These two people were together born in one county. The Sarpo and the crew. We are in one county.
Okay.
And we share the left bank and the right bank. And even part of Sarpo's land, the Nopo. That sometimes I got to be dealing with Nopo. Nopo is part of the crew land. But because of the situation and the subsidy that we bring to the table, from historical background analysis, we have to okay, the Sarpo is there, and we all live our system. We're not saying because Sarpo get one or two things that we want, that's why we want to force them to be a crew. No. So,
Boko, why is it that the Sapos are in Sinoe, but they sound more like the people in Grand Gedeh?
But the Sarpo in Nopo somewhere in the group there. And then you was talking about, you talk about food. I've been to Sinoe County. I don't know where you've been to Sinoe County. I've been to Sinoe County. The first time I went to Sinoe County, I passed through by Will of Grand Gedeh. The first time I entered it was Bubadi. It was in 2009. You know how we welcome? We're welcome with cassava and pepper soup. If you go to the cruise side, they can welcome you with cassava and pepper soup. And then later on, in the day around like 12 o'clock, they both give up palmetto rice and fufu, and palmetto and rice. If you go to the cruise side, it's the same thing. So when you're talking about food, the crew, the crab, the grabo, all of these people got the same diet. They got the same kind of food. The palmetto and rice, the pepper soup and rice, and cassava. So when we want to take that how to they are linked to the crap that we use about DNA analysis. I want the Levi to be sincere to us in the research that what the percentage of DNA that talk about the crime, the Sapos is related to the crime, is the crime. And when you talk about DNA, that Oprah Winfrey, she did a DNA check. She got to know that 30% of her human nature belongs to the parent trap in Liberia. She tell the percentage. Why did I get it to tell to her? You know.
And that's Boko. So, do you have a question so that I can McCarvent can react to your comments?
My question is: can Levi point us tell us the percentage that the Sapos is linked to the Sapos is a crime, is linked to crime, all of them, the historical analysis that we're reading, and the historical event we're following that the Sarpo is a subset of the Kru tribe?
Yeah,
Okay.
To that question, I will background. I identify, though not entirely, as a crewman because well, and I have a wife who is also based on the fact that we're endeavoring to procreation, we pretty much had to extract our DNA for analysis. And that there was a significant degree of uniformity and or similarities between our DNA. The sample is rather small, but if that sample can be expanded, it will be a degree that we can all rely upon and make the claim rather more forcefully to buttress Sir Guanu and Henry's research. Yes, even from the
all right, guys.
The arm, the structures, there is absolute uniformity between the Sappo crew. And to conclude, I think you are sadly mistaken. The Liberian law that linked the Sarpos as a sub-ethnic group of the crew. The link them as is go to our constitution from the 86 constitution is there loud and clear. A subset of the Krahn ethnic group and not the crews.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. You apparently you're using Obama internet, man. It's kind of breaking up too much.
Yeah, I'm seeing it buffering here, but
yeah, you know that's what happens when you get Obama stuff. Obama is time power animal. You got to get Joe Biden internet, man. Yeah.
I'm my internet. Okay.
All right, so Boko, I think these are some of the reasons why I think the debate we had on a year two zone, and that's some of the reasons I profit. You know, I think the diet and those things they are not too strong. You're talking about appearance. If you look at a Japanese man and a Chinese man, they almost look the same, but they are two different people. You know, so the looks argument again is not too strong.
The look is why? Because the DNA is genotypical and phenotypical. Genotype is internal. Look at two children, for example, who are born of the same mother and father. Internally, 6 chromosomes from both parents, and externally, they reflect attributes that come within them. So you will see resemblance. You will see similarity in their conduct, their actions, their likes and their dislikes. Yet, all things that are controlled. So you cannot dismiss them on the basis of just physical. No. Here still is based on scientific evidence.
Okay. All right. So okay, McCarvent, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Levi Madison. He's my special guest tonight. We're talking about the Krahn and the Sarpo, and the brother has concluded that Sarpo is Krahn. All right, so other people in the future will come to maybe refute what McCarvent has said. At least for me, I'm sort of incredulous to buy the argument. So McCarvent, I want to understand, how did the Sarpo leave Grand Gedeh?
So according to both oral and written history, where along the line after the entry into where is now present-day Liberia, the quest for bigger farmlands, the quest for arable land became a one of center stage. So the parents and began to embark upon territories that were the result of confrontation. I want to see the blood of his brothers because he is ingrained in his psyche. He decided to migrate further down so as to avoid entering into conflict with his brothers. But yet and still, after he left, himself from his brothers. They maintain close, contact so that during death, birth, and other ceremonies, they migrate both the borderlines to fellowship and interact for various festivals. And so that was what accounted for the migration.
Okay, so but McCarvent, you referenced this report earlier, the CIA report, and you said Sarpo is 1.3% of the population. If you look at the screenshot over there, Sarpo is set apart from Krahn. Krahn is measured, and then it gets Sarpo. Are you refuting the CIA report? You say it's not valid. In other words, you agree with Doris Banks, but you don't agree with what CIA is saying?
No, I'm not refuting that because linguistically speaking, vernacular has diversions from that of the Sarpo vernacular or the dialect. Was quantifying Liberians by reason of their dialect, the language of the Krahn, even though the Krahn and the Sarpo have the same root words, but there are some diversions, there are some variations between the way they pronounce or call one or two words based on changes. Now, if I'm correct, I will say come. My child, when I say come, he must say come. But because they come from the same, it can be understood. So that report was assessing Liberia by as a spoken. So that's how the separate the Sarpo as a language spoken in Liberia, and by what number of people shows that 1.3% of the language that are spoken in Liberia is Sarpo.
Yeah, for some reason, I mean, your audio is kind of messing up the discussion a little bit. Yeah, I'm having some issue hearing you clearly. Yeah. So I don't know.
If I can come back.
Yeah, let's see that. Let's try that option again.
Validates my claim such that the report did not categorically between the Sapos and the Krahn by reason of DNA. The report was an assessment of the language spoken in the country at any given time. And the study reveals that in the Republic of Liberia, 1.3% of the population speaks Sarpo, the Sarpo language, the Sarpo dialect. The Sarpo dialect is different from the Krahn dialect because of several variations that happen over time. The modification in the pronunciation or the loss thereof of the actual pronunciation of words.
But McCarvent, I don't know where you're getting the analysis from, because that report, I read that whole thing, and they said ethnic groups. They didn't say languages.
No, but okay, so if that is the basis of the report, as far as looking at the ethnicity of the Sapos, then it will be a definitional issue. Because by definition, the Sarpo man is a Krahn man. And any attempt to divorce him from his Krahn heritage is erroneous and is ill-conceived.
So see how that is erroneous, in other words, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, no, if they categorize the Sarpo as a unique ethnic formation outside or independent of the Krahns, then that effort is effective and erroneous.
But that's why it shows like right now, you don't have 16 tribes anymore, according to this report. You got more than 16.
So that report in itself is a recipe for disaster. It sows the seed for further disharmony amongst the tribe, and it breeds division. Liberia is on a path of reconciliation and harmony. So exploiting little minute differences between pronunciation of words does not amount to independence as far as ethnicity is concerned. So
McCarvent, what is wrong with some people having a county though, or being separate from Krahn? What is wrong with that? Let me give you this for example. You have the Crew people. They are in Sinoe County, but then you have a county called Grand Crew.
And they are also Grand Crew as well.
Right. So what is wrong with some people having a county? I mean, you say it's a recipes for chaos.
Yeah, definitely. So
how is that so?
In Liberia, there is only one of two tribes that have remnants of their members in other counties, perhaps because of their military history and their degree to which they were able to prevail over their neighbors. The Crews are known to be warriors. They have Grand Crew, and they also have Sinoe. The Krahns are also warriors, and they also have Sinoe. Why is that the case? It's because their members are militarily inclined territory and hold their ground. So even if the Crews were to move to Maryland, because in their bravery and their linkage with the gods, I can show you they will overcome Maryland because of who they are. You see what I'm saying? So that unique ethnic formation. The understanding word here is the ethnicity of the Crews and the Crowns and the Sapos by lineage, by DNA relationship, not just by mere pronunciation. The DNA that informs the language is the DNA that informs the culture, is the DNA that gave birth to all of those things that we're not discussing. Which the bottom line here is the singular event or the singular variable that links the Sapos and the Crew and the Crowns is DNA. We'll dismiss that.
Okay, McCarvent, I think your man Osiri is dismissing the report. He tried to question it. He says CIA report was added in recent days when the Sarpo decided to break away from the Krahn ethnic group.
So he's right, because on a broader scale, the whole notion of the Sarpo Crew and Bush Crew and Krahn issue has some political undertones. And we cannot divorce ourselves from adequately assessing the extent of which that is gaining currency in Liberia. So much so that the CIA, which is a political entity that has security trappings, goes around nations and sows seeds of discord and armed rebellions so as to give birth to the exploitation of their resources. I'm sure it will not be surprising to you to know that the Sarpo land is very rich. We have the Sarpo National Park, that is by far one of the only habitats to some of the rarest form of animals or specimen of trees in the whole of West Africa. That's currency. So it should not leave your mind that because of the vastness of our resources in that Sarpo Park, as well as the Putu Mountain, that the CIA is involved in a pursuit to incite inter-tribal conflict between the Sapos, the Crowns, and the Crews. I'm not going to overlook that. I think the comrade is right when he made that assertion.
Okay, yeah, but McCarvey, I don't think the Sarpo accepted the analysis of Banks and Guano that you're citing, though.
No, the writings of A. Doris Banks Henrys and Honorable Joseph C. Guano cannot be refuted by just one CIA report, because those were painstaking academic research that were conducted in line with the discipline of history. So their blog from the CIA is not enough to refute their claims.
But what I'm hearing from you, that's what you are making. The argument making is called argument from authority. You are appealing to authority now because A. Doris Banks and Guano said XYZ, therefore it's the case. I think,
but there were historians who carried out their research in a manner that was consistent with academic research. They went to work, analyzed the variables, conducted experimentation, both DNA, hemo, anthropological, and came out with their findings. So in order for us to refute their findings, we have to conduct a new research. And the one that was conducted recently by new scholars and new thinkers about the issue, even further argue their case. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, guys, the number is there if you want to come in. McCarvin is still making the case, but I still don't understand, McCarvin, why? I mean, what will happen if the Sarpo succeed from the Krahn? What is your fear?
So I have no fear, basically, because it will not give rise to any encroachment of land or any struggle over existing lands. the Sarpos already have an ancestral homeland in Sinoe. To some extent, they even control almost 50% of the land. I'm just being liberal with the number. Okay. So giving them a content status, I think that's the greater argument. Rather than just tribal recognition, they're arguing for content status.
So, but what is the fear? What is the fear if they have their own county?
I mean, my only fear is our country's lack of economic ability to finance a new county. A county should not just be about the name, but that there should be development on the ground. A county, I think there should be some development like a city hall. It means to sustain yourself economically. Not just about giving them a name, but giving them the avenues to development to improve the life of their people. I think that is a greater point. But
McCarvent, I think if they become a county, they will have political representation. They will have senators. They will have and those people will make the case. They will make it. Yeah, they will make the case for resources and those things you're talking about.
Right now in Sinoe, the Sapos and the crews compete for legal representation in the various elections. Sometimes they are all crews, and sometimes they are one crew, one Sapo. So if the Sapos can have a county of their own, there will be much more guaranteed to 2 senators and perhaps 6 representatives or 3, depending on the number of votes that are in the area. So that will be of economic essence to the Sapo people, much more than it is the case right now. So for an average Sapo man whose quest is for greener pasture, that's an argument worth having. But for me, a Liberian man, I don't see the need for them to leave Sinoe right now to form a Sarpo county or whatever they choose to call it.
So you oppose that?
No, I think they should stay in Sinoe and evidence their dominance economically, politically, academically, intellectually over their counterparts. But
if you look at it politically, though, I mean, democracy is numbered. And the crew are in the majority, so if given the tribal element, the Sarpo will always be politically not represented, and I think that's what they're talking about political section from.
Yesterday, election 2005, we had a permanent son of Sarpo land in the honor of the late. The Sarpo people are able to muster the courage to inculcate values into their children to make them much more competitive. I can assure you that they'll be able to be elected. That's why the numerical strength of the crews in Sinoe. Because we're able to do it with Mabutu, we can also do it now with other adequately trained, intelligent Sapo people to represent Sinoe. I don't think that's an argument that we should run away from.
No, but McCarvent, I think you are making what we call political tokenism, and that's what you are doing right now. One person in the whole group and say, okay, they're this or that.
It's something worth celebrating.
It does. But if you look at the history of the county, predominantly those that have been represented the county, they are crews, and so the people are saying this is not fair
because they are the ones that have been able to avail themselves of a position of leadership. The Sapos have been laid back the get-go. It is only who are passionate, encouraged, and courageous enough to young or old. So until us, the Sarpo people, can put our resources behind those people who we believe in, then of course we can set ourselves in the county. But to run away from the county because we want to have easy representative seat, I think it's listen. Even though politically it makes sense, but in my view, it's not in my DNA to run away from challenge.
Yeah, but McCarvent, I understand what you're saying. If you are in a society where people vote on substance, where they vote on issues, but if you have a society where people are voting on travel lines, I mean, it's tough. You can be the best educated person in that region. The people will look at the guy from their region. That's what we'll be looking at. So I think the late Mabutu was a political anomaly in Sinoe County, given the history.
I mean, you can argue that, but I mean, I would say over his counterpart was because he possessed real palpable intellectual, professional, and academic experience over that of his counterpart. If we can produce more grounds and trainings, I think we can assert ourselves in the county. Yeah, I look for the day where you.
I don't know. I mean, training is a good thing. Training is a good thing. I think that's one aspect of the equation. But I mean, let's take for example, honorable. Should I use the word honorable? Anyway, Mr. Romeo Kuya, he's highly educated. He trained, but he has tried at least 5 times. You know, and the people have not selected him.
Yeah, that's because they are not being. If you are already in the minority, want to divide your votes. You want to let 3 Sapos against 1 crew. Tell me what clear cut victory for the crew, because he already has a numerical advantage over you. Then you divide those who assert themselves. They will have to unify the support behind one candidate who they are sure as well. That's the way we can win. But to divide our votes and think that other crews will come behind us is a sad mistake.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's kind of sad that I listened to my friend Boko, and he said Sarpo is crew, but then when it comes to election, and predominantly the crew, they are not voting for Sarpo there. So I don't know what else. I mean, when it comes to election, the Sarpo is not crew anymore. I don't know. I mean, under no normal condition, like for example, Senator TJ now will become a lawmaker, giving his record in the county. You know, but because of the same tribalism we're talking about, or negative tribalism, Senator TJ was elected, even though he was on an indictment at the time, corruption indictment.
Yeah, I'll tell you. But that also is the curse that bedevils Liberia, the curse of tribalism over national, pride or nationalism. A Krahn man, a Grey man will much more be gleaned to link up with his fellow tribal men, much more than anyone else, even if his tribal man does not possess the required skill set that is needed to execute that function. That's an element of our problem that we face as a people. Until we can be able to think outside of our tribe and think for the country and think for the greater good of the country as opposed to the greater good for my tribe, Liberia will continue to suffer. Let's take a look at what is happening in Lofa. You have a convicted felon who is being buttressed, supported against the substance of his crime by his fellow countrymen, negating the fact that his action hinder or injure other Lofians. But because they deem him as their tribal men, they support him irrespective of the wrong he did to both his countrymen and his country. Until we can muster the courage to speak against those kind of actions forcefully and to conduct ourselves as tribal people much more responsibly, Liberia will continue to suffer the negative impact of tribalism. And as you know it may lead to another round of bloodshed, which we all frown against.
So McCarvent, as a young and great thinking man of Liberia, I mean, what do you think is the panacea to the issue of negative tribalism in the country? How do you hope that we can address that? Is it addressable?
Yeah, I think there needs to be much more inter-tribal associations, intermarriages, and the ability to speak rather frankly.
McCarvent, hold on, somebody.
Yeah.
Hello, this is the Voice of Sinoe. Who's this?
Hello.
Hello,
Mr. Host. How are you? This is Bogo again.
Oh, Bogo, you're back again. Okay. All right. What's your take, buddy? Go ahead.
Yeah, after we discussed about the Sapos and the crew, Krahn, and then we talk about you guys brought about elections. So let me dive into that because I was part of a campaign of a Sapos man, and then how it goes. I went to Sinoe County in 2009. Like I told you guys, I ended Sinoe County through VOSD, Pakistan, Creek, Trazo, and then come to the crew era with the instrumentality of non-representative of edition number 3, Marvin Chief Dada. when it comes to the elections in Sinoe County, brother, our people do not stand behind a Sapos brother or sister. You see, the crew trap, once the 48th session of the crew trap, if they had a 10 men in the race, and if for the 48th session of the crew trap come and agree that, oh, this person will be carrying Boko to be the senator, you or Peter, wait, next time we're going to kill you. The people going to make sure, the town chief, the elders, they're going to make sure that they vote Boko instead of that guy. Because they tell you, wait for your time. But now when they crack the Sarpo, if the Sarpo can just come together as one and support one person in a political event in Sinoe County with 1.3% of the guy in that period, they're going to win something in that county. That's why they did in 2004 with Maputo. When Maputo was contesting along with Joseph number 9 social justice, they both won the same ticket. But the Sarpo make sure because of Maputo gains. By the time you will help you out what you have done for them, they stood by Maputo 100%. And Maputo begin the GM senator, and Joseph will begin the GM senator. You know why? Because at that time, the Sarpo was committed. But right now, with the level of chicanery and barbary and gentlemen that is going on, and the kind of bigotry that is going on in our county, the Sarpo are not always together, my brother. So you cannot say you guys want to have a county. Let me tell you example, you say you want to have a county. Why is the percentage of the Sarpo in that, bro? You want a county. If you say you want a county now, let's say for instance, the Madimbos are more than you. They are concerned with trap. And they are in 2 counties. They in Lofa, they in Niba. When they get to the one a county. But because of you guys say, oh, political disenchantment, it's not political disenchantment. If you guys go and vote for your own people, you people are going to win. Is it? Why is it a crew making that win in Johannesburg area? Crew making that win in Buwati. When crew make contest, representatives, why they can win? Because the South can vote for that man. So when it comes to the crew side take that pleasure to vote for that people. And so all our other. That when I went, I tell your minister Tata Kirby, the people were waiting. Because we galvanized the people. We told the people what it means to make or this mayor or senator if I tell you're contesting. But you know what's funny? That your uncle. After all, we are never had it. As a young university student, I rest my life. I went to Sinoe County. Because of little Senator Manaseli, he refused to get in the race. I was put on myself at the time. In 2011, to see Joseph Namwe to make it senator.
So, Boko.
Yeah.
Are we trying to see Senator Teje in 2023? Will you support one Muzaza?
I won't be there.
What happened?
I won't be there.
Is that yes?
Yes,
okay.
I'm a crewman. I'm not going to crew or sample exhibition. I'm going to who can better represent the interest of the county. And that becomes a crewman or become a supplement. No. And that is why I took on that journey in 2009 as a young university student. And the president of the Southern University student in UMU to support that candidate. Because I know what that can bring to the table. I know what that Kim was doing. But that was saying we're the defensive in churches. You see why I led to that? Somehow Joseph number came back. Joseph number was doomed. In 2009, when we ran that campaign up to 2011, Joseph number was doomed to be unseated. Now representing Zaza. But because of little information from our cities, he betrayed the trust of the people. Do you see when like a Zaza be Senator of Sinoe County? I can support him personally, but when the trust, he betrayed of the people in 2011 when the people needed him most to represent them as a senator, and he refused that because he wanted one ministerial job or social government job for any justice study. He did not take that seat. I have a problem with that with Zaza.
Yeah, but I mean, Boko, I'm glad.
So,
this is why I'm just supporting though, because I know what he can do.
Yeah.
But the fact that he betrayed the trust of the people, I differ with that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean that's history. So let look to the future now. We can't undo history. Yeah.
If that guy, I would support that guy based on that supporting or me as the representative in number 3.
You want to run?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. That's a revelation right now. All right, Bogo, let me get McCarvent's reaction, please.
Okay,
So that's a breaking news for Sinoe County. Bogo wants to run.
Don't want to run. Yeah, I mean, I think, quite frankly, the discourse have taken a new thread as far as the introduction of this is the undertone of everything that has been happening to the Sapos, you know, as far as it relates to the linkage to the Krahns. You know, I'm open, like I said, to new evidence that will prove otherwise as far as this association DNA quantum evidence. But until that point in time, we will have to cleave onto the current research we have. But to conclude, I support the national recognition of the Sarpos as a tribe in Liberia, and I will also argue for the if and only if we'll be given the resources to improve in those areas, and not just giving just to have two lawmakers in the upper house, and several of them in G and Apollo. I don't think the creation of those places into counties who live there as opposed to the ones who represent them.
Hello?
Can you hear me again? I see.
Yeah, there's a lot of breaking up. But McCarvent, I want to engage with the audience comments, but one of the things that you used the argument is the issue of Dodi that you talked about. And I don't know, because the better people, for example, they are Dodis of the Sarpo. So can we also say that the Sarpo people are better people? Or the better people are some people? Because that's why you also use the Krahns are also Dodis of the Sarpo. And therefore you say, okay, based on you have an additional evidences and you put together to draw a conclusion is one of those. Hello? Hello? Yes, let me see, I can you and bring back later. Yeah, I'll bring it back. Let me get a quick commercial here while we are waiting for McCarvent to come. But guys, I really, really appreciate your participation. This engagement. Now one more calls though. Let's see. Let me see. So we're talking about sign. Let's see.
Sandy on the beat.
Tosa
So let's see. Welcome back, guys. Let's see. Let me make sure test the sound. I always get sound issues here. Give me a second to see. Somebody was telling me my sound is not good. So let's see. Welcome back, guys. Let's see. All right, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I just called my guest, and you're having some technical issue back there. Unfortunately, that's how we're going to wrap up for the night. I want to say thank you so very much for your participation, for coming on and following the show. I really appreciate all of you, Boko and others that participated. My man Riches, coming with all these bunch of questions, All right, so that's how we're doing it for the night. I want to say thank you so much. It's the Voice of Sinoe in the Diaspora. We will be back again this week or next week to have further discussion on Sinoe County, Liberia, and the Diaspora. So let's close the show this way. Let me see what I got for you as closing here. Let's do Panto here.
Some people in the area, they not let man bend it. Some people in the market, they not let man bend it. Some men in the office, they not let man bend it. Some people in the club, they not let man bend it. But how we boy running? Dream my Lego ain't running. Someone say ain't running. Enjoy my say ain't running. How we dancing running. Ride my car ain't running. Go to club ain't running. I will come and shine running. He running. Enjoy my say ain't running. Be the tate ain't running. Wap wap he running. Some people fair but me are happy. Drinking liquor I'm happy. You can't do club you having cappy. Les gens won't see you in a casket. You not let me lie up in it. Shout out all my people and I only carry. Anything I do, they know they first to like it. She eat my saute, eat my bread, she saw my candy. Let the people then I let me on Facebook. But say they like in my photo. She needs to tell me say koto. Now I'm making money, she won't jump in my photo. Some people in the area, they not let man bend it. Some people in the market, they not let man bend it. Some men in the office, they not let man bend it. Some people in the club, they not let man bend it. But how we boy running? Dream my Lego ain't running. Someone say ain't running. Enjoy my say ain't running. How we dancing running. Ride my car ain't running. Go to club ain't running. I will come and shine running. Ain't running. Enjoy my say ain't running. Be the tate ain't running. Wap wap ain't running. In front of door that they play, I will park my car. How you will park?
Yes, so that's it. I will block in from them. We have to grapple with that video again. Let's see what happens here before I close the show. Now they want to play the video, I get audio problem. Yes, so that's it. I will blow in from them. Okay, wonderful, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you very much for joining us. We will be back again on this platform to do more discussion. But in the meantime, before I let you go, let me recognize the people that I'm seeing right now. Hey, President Kisiwale, thank you for coming. Mr. Our planning man, Cecil Tobo, how you doing, sir? Thanks for joining. Winter Queer, how you doing? Thanks for joining. My man Donald Riches. I'm seeing others here. McCarvent Levi, thanks very much for your discussion tonight. 7 others. I'm not seeing everybody. So I seen 12 persons right now still following. But I want to say thank you so much and have a beautiful, wonderful night. We are out.